All right. Okay, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Sean Callan.
Here.
Julie Chutney.
Here.
Tom Chiappa.
Here.
David Crisafulli.
Here.
Jim McKenzie's here. Kristen Norfleet.
Here.
Sean Onmock.
Here.
And Amanda Connolly.
Here.
Okay, if we can stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started with floor to the public, I'd just like to say welcome back, Sean. It's great to have you back. So we do have 4 people who signed up for the floor to the public. So before we begin, I will just read that the Oswego City School District's Board of Education welcomes public comment at this portion of the meeting using the following guidelines. Each speaker who signed up is permitted 3 minutes for their comments. Speakers may not yield remaining time to others. All comments must be directed to the board president. The board will listen to comments and input will not necessarily debate or discuss items. Operational matters will be directed to school administration for handling. The board is not permitted to address personnel or individual student matters in open session. The board will limit repetitive comments to give time to others wishing to speak, as well as to maintain meeting efficiency. The board president has the authority to end a speaker's comments or close public comment as appropriate. Any additional written correspondence or letters may be directed to the board clerk for distribution to the board. The board expects proper decorum at all times, and all speakers should state their full name and address. So we have Mike Fortier. I got the name correctly? Mr. Fortier?
Fortier. Either one. All right, so my name's Michael Fortier. I live at 239 Murray Street. The reason I'm here today is because I have a wife that's in the district, works for the middle school. I have 2 kids that are in the district. We live right beside the middle school. I'm sure as all of you know that there's a project that's commencing that they decided to all of a sudden build a tennis court in our side yard. Given that it's middle school property, understandable. However, the way that we found out about it was on last Wednesday when my wife walked home from lunch, we had people in our side yard all of a sudden doing surveying, and then we had to hear from the construction workers that we're getting tennis courts put in our side yard, pickleball courts, basketball courts on the other side of the existing tennis courts. No notification from the school district, no letter. The middle school itself, after talking with employees over there, none of them knew. As the way it stands right now, we've been back and forth about with Mr. Colucci and I, superintendent, where they originally wanted to put this. I have concern with drainage. I've asked for some drainage maps. All of a sudden, one was possibly given to me today. My concerns where this tennis court is going to be put is being close to the property line so that if a child ends up hitting a tennis ball out of the tennis court, for one, if it hits my house, who's responsible? Number 2, if one of your kids or a district kid goes out of that tennis court to get a ball that's on my property, trips and falls on my property, you get that ball, who is responsible? Also, the school district has plenty of grounds that this could have went on. The way that it was brought to us is absolutely absurd. The layout of it is absolutely absurd. I feel that possibly either the board would have gotten together with possibly the AD, coaches, okay, and figured this out, especially with PE teachers. If we want to put in a tennis court, pickleball courts, basketball courts, great. I'm all for it. It's for the kids. I'm all for the kids. However, the planning of this, terrible. With that said, also, that piece of property I have been maintaining for the 12 years that I've been there, at least 3/4 of that property, because of the Buildings and Grounds Department can't keep up with the mowing. All right? We got to keep this grass cut. When they do finally cut it, it's terrible. Looks like a hayfield. Doesn't get weed eated. The signs that are on the curve there, I have to personally go over, use my own gas, my own weed eater, to take care of that, to take care of those signs. I've reached out to Mr. Amok, Mr. Callen, and have expressed my concerns for these for the past few years, especially to Mr. Amok. Mr. Amok has replied back to me very timely fashion, very, everything was great, and then, a couple days later or a day later, they're mowing it. Then 3 weeks go by again, 4 weeks go by again, it's not mowed again. So here I am maintaining a piece of property that is not ours.
Okay, Mr., do you have much left? We're about 30 seconds over
Okay.
the allotted time.
All right, no, I appreciate your
Final
time,
words.
but thank you.
Thank you very much. Jessica Fortier?
I mean, he pretty much said all of it, but I want my chance to complain too. I think it's despicable the way that you all have gone about this project. Like he said, I walked home on lunch and they were sticking stakes in the ground. That's how I found out that we were gonna have a huge construction feet from our home. We've lived there for 12 years. He's maintained it for 12 years. Consideration, some humanity for us, the neighbors that live right there. We can't, no one even bothered to let us know. There was no reason whatsoever that court couldn't go on the other side. There's so much land on the other side of those tennis courts. It still can go there. It's not too late. It's in the plans. There's something for the Pop Warner football. Why couldn't those little football boys play between our house and the tennis court? Then we're happy. You guys are happy. You're still getting your tennis court. It makes 0 sense to shove that tennis court between our house and that existing tennis court. It's not right. I work at the school. I pour my heart into the school every single day, and then I just feel like this was a punch in the gut, and it's not fair. It's our home. Everybody's teasing me at school about it. It's my home. It's not funny. It's not funny that they're getting, no one even knew about it. We get an email the day that Mike put up a fit, like last Wednesday, he started calling people, Colucci, whoever, and then we get an email. Like, what? Who's running this show, to be honest? I don't know. I mean, the guy was there yesterday. He still didn't have the plot lines correct. He's still surveying, and they still weren't correct yesterday. I just think that the whole thing is sad and unnecessary. It doesn't need to go there. And yeah, my family's distraught about it, and I just wanted to let you all know that. So thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Bob. Bob Courtenay? Connolly? Sorry, Mr. Connolly? Bob?
I signed in at the wrong.
That's fine. It happens all the time, sir. Trust me, all the time. So you don't care to speak this evening?
What's that?
You don't care to speak this evening?
No.
Okay, appreciate you. Chloe Hill?
Hi, my name is Chloe Hill. I reside at 696 West River Road. I've been substitute teaching in the district at all schools and grade levels for the last couple of months, and I've noticed that there tends to be a variety in the ways I am informed of certain class materials, usually pertaining to our most vulnerable students, which are disabled students. Sometimes I am directly given IEPs, and I've been told that I'm legally supposed to get those. And at other schools, I have been told that those exist on a platform called School Tool that I don't have access to. I am speaking today just because I want to make sure that I'm doing right by these students. When I work in a co-teaching classroom, which is often, I'm usually given the position of working with them directly one-on-one as a sort of aid. And I just feel that if there were some way to standardize the information that is given to subs and how it is given to subs at each school, that would just make it a lot easier to know that I am making the right decisions and doing what's best for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right, So I got that. Okay, so next on the agenda are acknowledgements with Tom.
All right, we start in our tour around the district at Charles E. Riley. Riley's been busy this month preparing for Bruce Coville's visit, a famous local author who shared his love of reading and writing with the entire school. Grade levels rotated through the library with Mr. Coville storytelling parts of his own stories, and he also squeezed in time to have lunch with students from each class. It was a glorious day for everyone. Mrs. Barber's and Mrs. Anzalone's kindergarten class was culminating their ELA unit on the Colonial Times by churning their own butter to create their own bread. They created their own bread out of the butter and dough and enjoyed tasting their own handiwork. Now we go over to Frederick Layton. Students at Layton were enjoying some much-deserved fun in the sun with popsicles with their reading teachers. Congratulations to the cast and crew of the Layton musical, Aladdin, and fourth graders had a trip to the Erie Canal Museum. Look at that, and popsicles for everyone. Over to Minetto. Minetto kindergarten students were captivated as they watched tiny beaks break through eggshells. Each day, they eagerly observed the incubators and recorded what was happening inside, their curiosity and excitement growing as they waited for the chicks to appear. The lessons they learned about the life cycle of a chicken will never be forgotten. This experience fostered a sense of wonder and helped students understand each stage, from egg to chick. We go over to the high school now, and on Thursday, May 22nd, the students from Oswego history, oceanography, and technology classes were invited to tour the Lake Guardian, the largest research ship on the Great Lakes. They also got to tour the H. Lee White Maritime Museum, and the students were also mentioned in a New York Times article this past week. Friday, May 23rd, the jazz band concert featured many soloists and special guest performer Jeff Stockham. All performers were excellent, and the concert was well attended. Congratulations to all. Staying at the high school, on Wednesday, May 28th, Oswego High School hosted Port City Connections. This was a community event organized by Mrs. Bateman that brought over 30 clubs and organizations to OHS. This was a free event that provided pizza and takeaway meals donated by Canales and Hometown Barbershop. The meals were prepared by Mrs. Rappin's Foods classes. Following this event was the OHS Chorus Concert. The choirs once again excelled in their performance in front of a large crowd. Thank you to everybody who participated in all those events all around the district. That's it.
Thank you, Tom. Next up, we have two items under Board of Education. First item is the 2025-2026 Board of Education meeting dates. So if I can get a motion for next year's board meeting dates, please.
I'll move, but just to clarify, the April dates were corrected from what was originally published. They were on Wednesdays, so I think they got fixed to Tuesdays.
Tuesdays. Thank you, Kristen. I do have a motion. Is there a second? Thank you, Sean. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is a contract amendment between the Board of Education and Dr. Raymond Kilmer III. If I can have a motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sean. Being a contractual personnel matter, there is not time for discussion, so I'm just going to move to the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Is anybody opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Jim, would you mind if I just made a quick comment?
Absolutely, please.
Great. I just wanted to speak to the contract, as I know, I'm sure the community is going to be interested that we're extending his contract, and I wanted to let everybody know that first, we did a lot of research about what superintendents were paid all throughout central New York, really took the time to educate ourselves on what market is, both benefits as well as salary, to make sure that what we were doing was right by the district and also by Dr. Kilmer. I also wanted to share that we felt that one of the strongest missions that we have as a board was try to create stability in the district. And part of creating stability is to have a superintendent that, quite frankly, lasts more than 2 years. So it was really important to us that we be able to start the process of building a long-term partnership with a superintendent. And that went into our thinking as well when we were negotiating the contract. I think that being able to keep Dr. Kilmer here is a tremendous benefit to us. People have probably seen a lot of changes, and people always have comments about changes. But I think if you look at it in the total, that we're moving in a positive direction instead of in a negative direction. And I think that Dr. Kilmer is at the lead of that. And I'm really excited to know that he's going to be here for as long as my kids are in the school district and hopefully even longer. So I just wanted to just take that moment to explain at least my own personal reason on why I think this was a great thing for us to do.
Could I piggyback on that?
Please.
Kristen, thanks for the explanation about our research and that we've been working on this for some time. There's a couple things that, in my support of this. One, I think about how long that we've been looking at this and comparing Dr. Kilmer's contract with others and the timeline of us presenting this and voting on it. And that was delayed because Dr. Kilmer had a priority with another union, and we got through those, and everything went well with OCTA. I appreciate that we got through, the support of our teachers. I thought that was important, and that was the priority. That stood out to me. A couple of years ago when I ran, safety in our schools was, a paramount concern of everyone in our community, not just me coming in as a board member. I think when you look at the additional SROs that we've added, the gate systems in the high school and the middle school, and the continued communication, and really strong relationship with our local police department, and that Ray's working on that, I think that's very important for our taxpayers. For 2 years now, while our programming has maintained, while we're trying to do more things, we have a plan for facilities in our building condition survey, 0% tax levy to our taxpayers, 2 years straight. So certainly appreciate, Mr. Colucci and Ray working on that together. That impacts everyone in the Oswego community. Lastly, most importantly, there's a lot of stuff that I've learned in 2 years while making the commitment to be on a school board. And I do appreciate the board members that gave us the opportunity when we were elected, but we weren't part of the conversation yet. And going back, you guys allowed Kristen, Julie, and I to come in and be part of the conversation when Ray was coming on board. But what we've heard for 2 years straight on how to handle a lot of things that are brought to us from our community, how does it impact the kids? That's the question that's the direction that we're given. How does this impact the kids? When you have a superintendent that says that again and again and again, then we're on the right track. And that is the most important thing, that if we can keep that here, that mindset here, that I think that there's going to be a huge impact in our school community and our Oswego community. So thanks for the work that you've done to this point, Ray.
Thank you, Sean.
I want to, if I
wanna
may,
continue
I'm going
with
to jump
us?
on the piggyback. Why not?
Absolutely.
I want to just say something relative from my perspective. And it's, if I haven't said it publicly, and if I've never said it to anyone here, you'll hear it for the first time, but it's been my mantra, and I've said it over and over again. High-performing districts have longevity in both their school board members and their superintendents. I can speak from personal experience that I've been here for 7 years, and this is my 4th superintendent. How do we expect to have growth if we do not have consistency in long-range plans and continuity through everything that we do? And that's my hope, is that we have that. We've seen all the things, and I just endorse 100% both what Kristen and Sean have said, that change is not easy, and it takes time, and it takes commitment. But we can't just keep jumping. I used to say before, we were whipsaw as a district by state regs. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to do that. But if we don't have an internal goal and target, and if we're not cohesive, then we won't get to that target. So I also want to say one other thing. Ray, would I be wrong? Last night when we went to the top 100, there was a gentleman that came over, and I was eavesdropping, I believe, and he said he was happy to see you there, I believe. Would I have been correct in that? This was unasked for. A gentleman came up and said to him, "It's really great to see you here." I think that speaks greatly to Ray's commitment to us and to the district, and that it's felt. I also want to say one other thing, speaking of the kids, that we finally came this year, I think, to the senior class trip, and there's been a tremendous amount of positive reaction to that. And that was like the Goldilocks area we found. We had gone one way with one superintendent, we had gone another way with another, and then we found a Goldilocks where it hit the most amount of kids and could have the most effect. So those are the types of things, the little things. It's going to take time, but as long as we keep getting those micro wins, right, Julie? Those little micro wins along the way, we're going to get there. So I endorse it 100%.
Thank you, Tom. Okay. All right. I guess I'm not one to be quiet at times. Yeah, come on, I know, man. All I got to say is thank you. Thank you for the last 2 years. Thank you for working on it with us to come up with a contract for the next 5 years. My firm belief that the best leaders are ones that don't talk about how to lead, but just do it. They just show you. They do it through their actions. The people who are constantly talking about, to be honest with you, or I'm going to be transparent, these are usually the people you got to watch out for. You got to just watch what people do and take that as opposed to the words that they use sometimes. And I know we've got a wonderful leader in Dr. Kilmer, so thank you very much.
Jim, sorry. Well, there is one other thing. There's work to be done. And we have improvements, continuous improvement and getting better, maybe with communication, with listening to our community. I speak to certain things in my endorsement of this contract, but I want to be very open with our current board and the 2 new board members that we need to keep working for our community, our teachers, our administrators, and the kids. It's like this isn't over, and by no means is everything perfect, but with communication, with our community, I think we're on a great track, and I'm excited to be in this seat.
I will end this just by saying, for those of you wondering why it's printed on here that we use Robert's rules, but the discussion is after the vote, is because when it comes to personnel contract items, they're not finalized until the vote happens, and so you actually cannot discuss in public those kinds of things. So I just wanted to share to you why this is a little bit different than the normal operation of board in which we have a discussion before a vote. It's just a matter of contract negotiations and the way that works. So, all right, we are on to our superintendent's report with Dr. Kilmer.
Thank you all. So I'm going to start off by inviting Molly Burke and Patrick Fiorenza to come forward. They are from RMS, Research and Marketing Strategies. This is the company. They are local. They're actually headquartered out of Baldwinsville. And they do a lot of survey analysis type of work for districts throughout the region. I actually had the privilege of working with RMS previously. And what they did for us was help us to administer our first school climate study. Our focus was, again, to try to elicit as much information as we could from students, staff, and our community. But this isn't a one-stop shop. So they're going to provide a high-level overview of the results from that study from this year, but know that the work is just beginning. Our building level guiding coalitions will continue to look at the very localized results from each of the buildings to help inform their plans for the 25-26 school year. We will also be doing that at the district level. We are also planning on doing this survey annually, right about the same time every single year. Because what we also want to know is we also want to look at trends. We're looking at year to year. Are there changes? What else are we noticing? Are we seeing any level of improvement? Are there additional questions that we should be asking? How do we do that? So all of that is a part. So this is just step one, and know that there's much more to come. So with that, I'll turn it over to Patrick.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Kilmer. So Dr. Kilmer explained that beautifully about the work that we've been doing and how it's great just the start of on this year too. And just to kind of build on some of the comments your board was mentioning too, it's really been a privilege working with your team. Just how open in your commitment to the students really shine through this whole process too. And I think the big thing from this work is there's a lot of positive, a lot of great things you're going to see in this report. And also, hopefully, we can provide some areas too for you really to focus on as well. Like Dr. Kilmer said, this is kind of district-wide, which we're providing here too. But we have provided data right down to different school level too. So you can really get nuanced work to develop those action plans and strategies to move forward and dive deeper into the data as you see fit. So what I'll do here quickly first, again, I'm Pat Fiorenza, Senior Director of Research Analytics, and here with Molly Burke, our Senior Research Analyst. We're the team working on this report for you this year. And RMS, we do all sorts of different market research. Education and healthcare are our two biggest industries that we work in, but we also do a lot in the energy field too as well. And we've worked with several districts across the state as well doing similar climate study work like this. So just to give you a little bit of a background of what we learned overall. So really, again, as I said, people are engaged. They are satisfied with what the district and the education services that are provided here as well. And we also did hear some things around discipline that both staff and parents would like it to be more consistent and appropriate and unbiased too. So one of the things that we did in the survey too is we asked quantitative questions too, but also we solicited a lot of open-ended feedback. So a lot of quotes to try to get more nuanced on the data to understand really what's happening there too. And when we're asking about discipline, what surprised me a little bit too is when we asked students about, did you receive a disciplinary action? Yes or no? Did you think it was fair? Please explain. And a lot of the students did actually say, yeah, something like, yeah, I really didn't do this right. I messed up. So they were showing a lot of accountability on it too, which I thought was even just a great first step on there too, that something right is happening, that they can kind of see that there's areas that they need to improve on or what's happening too, but very aware of the situations there as well that they were dealing with too. So other things that came up, bullying, fighting, and substance use were issues across the district that they felt need to be addressed. Social media, it came up as a stress. Staff and parents identified this more so than the students, which I think is interesting. And I think that just might be because students, it's just natural to them that they're using it. It's, they're everywhere, they're on their phones constantly too. And, a staff and parents' perspective, they kind of see it a little bit differently too about what might be actually happening on there as well too. And as a parent of young kids too, that's one that I'm always thinking about, like, we gotta get these tablets away from these kids and get them outside and play more on that too. So, so social and emotional learning supports and curriculum were both things that staff and parents said they'd like to see more of. And then we calculated something called a net promoter score. So it's a score from positive 100 to negative 100, and you like to see it above, any score above 0. And this is really a measure of loyalty or satisfaction in the district. And keep in mind, this is just one metric out of several for the district. And the score was low. It was a negative 33. But it's important to keep in mind that other scores were high. You had a high mean score when we asked about satisfaction in the district, and also that more parents are more likely to recommend the district than not. So it's a metric that you can look at, and like Dr. Kimber said, you'll be doing this year over year, and hopefully we can see some growth on there too. And personally, the thing on Net Promoter Score, we use this a lot in different industries, and it was really in vogue a few years ago. Everybody was measuring this too, and it's something that you have to look at the whole breadth of the study. So don't get hung up on one number, but mostly generally positive too, and hopefully when you measure again, you'll see some growth. A little bit on the methodology about how we did this study. So a total of 1,249 students, 542 staff, and 1,226 parents participated. So that's aggregate response rate of 51% of the population here in the district, which is a terrific response rate. Good margin of error, plus or minus 1.3 at the 95% confidence interval. Basically, this means that you can have confidence in the results, that this is reflective of the entire population that you're working with here too. And these are, usually like to see margin of error below 5. So again, that's great. And these are the survey response rates here on the right about the different measures that we used. And just adding on to the validity of the findings, the survey that we used is based on a Department of Education survey that's been validated and tested. So they've done all types of psychometric testing on it to make sure that the questions are answered consistently by people, and you can trust that the actual survey tool that you're using is going to produce strong, reliable responses. So between that and the response rate, I think you can really have strong confidence in the findings of this study here too. And so how the tool is kind of set up, there's these three different areas. So we call these kind of the domains or the constructs. So engagement, safety, and environment. And we'll go through each of these on some of the following slides. And within each of them, there's a set of questions asked, scale questions 1 to 4 on there too, all these different categories. And again, we can break these down and look at them in different areas. And as we go through this, we'll kind of tease out some of the areas where there are strengths and some of the areas where possible improvements can be found. So just to give it the highest level of these domain areas, so the engagement, safety, and environment, all scored just about the same. We like to see, for what we've done these with other school districts and just as a benchmark, above 3, we kind of say is a favorable score. So, and the first time doing this, these are, I think, strong and good scores too, and really getting close to that 3 benchmark. And it really goes, the scale again, from 1 would be the strongly disagree, to 4 to strongly agree with those set items that we'll take a look at on here too. So the engagement one, so this is what scored the highest. So these are around the different relationships within the school here too. And as you can see, the blue is the parents from the parent survey, gray is the staff, and green is the students. So parents, did rate their engagement the highest there. For safety, staff were the highest. And then for environment, it was, again, the parents a little bit higher there too. So when we look at the engagement domain here, so we can kind of look at how we broke some of these down here a little bit. So the relationship domain was the highest mean score. So we feel that staff and students, there's a good relationship there too, which is fantastic to hear. So students, some of these questions included items like, how comfortable are you talking to a teacher with a need, or is there an adult in the district that you feel like you can go to? So all good things that, there's good comfort with the students, times of need, and strong relationships there too. Again, like we mentioned, parents with the higher engagement rating on there too. And we also did test these for significance. They're so close on the numbers here too, but we did see that they're not statistically really different on here between any of these on here too. And if you have more questions on that or want to see that analysis or how we did that, we're happy to talk a little bit more there too. Another thing I loved about doing these projects is the quotes that we get from the teachers and students and staff. So all really great highlights and should make you feel good about the work that you're doing here throughout where we're seeing. And I'll highlight some of these as we go through. So I'm very fortunate and proud to be working within the Oswego City School District. So that's a staff member who shared that comment. And we had probably, thousands of those, Molly, that we were able to go through and positive things like that too as well. And in the full reports, we did some qualitative analysis of those quotes too. So pulling out key themes and trends and a lot of those aligned with really the quantitative data that we found here too. So some of the higher scored engagement areas here too, we broke these out again for students, staff, and parents. Students and staff, they really feel like there's a lot of ample extracurricular opportunities. When I drove in, I think I saw, at least I know I saw lacrosse. I might have seen some soccer out there and saw the field, so definitely ample opportunities there for engagement, walking around here, seeing music and all that too, which is great. Parents and staff, they seem satisfied with the communication from the district, and that's one of the ones where there's always ways to find improvements. And I loved hearing one of the board members speaking about focusing on how to really fine tune those and really make sure that people do feel engaged. There's good venues for communication and people are feeling well informed. I know as a parent that's really tough, and especially when you have students in different schools and different, sometimes in my district at least, there's different apps sometimes you have to use. And so all that's, it's a tricky one to get right, but it's great that we can definitely hear the commitment to making sure that you're working towards improving all that, and good that you have a good baseline of support here from this. Again, the positive relationships too between the staff, students, and the parents, which is key. I mean, that's huge for any change. Having that baseline trust to really push the initiatives forward is really, really important. And you're starting from a good baseline there too. So some to highlight here too. Again, the parents, I feel comfortable talking to someone at the school about my students' behavior. So again, that comfort to say that they know who to go to, who to talk to, and have confidence that there's going to be some action kind of follow on that too. Feeling welcome, again, it was scored highly, and promptly responding, which is all important things, again, to hear too. Again, staff are feeling, again, the timely communication as well. Students encouraged to get involved in extracurricular activities, which is great. Showing respect for all students, which is wonderful to hear too as well from the staff perspective. And then the students, again, they're saying that there's lots of opportunities to get involved. If they're absent, somebody will notice that they're not there. So that means they feel seen and that they're part of the community there too as well. And they feel like there's chances to be involved in class discussions or activities or get engaged too, which is really important too, is that they feel comfortable participating and being involved. So some of the areas that scored a little bit lower on here too. So students felt like sometimes there is a bit of a lack of respect among their peers and some favoritism at times between gender and sexual orientation. Staff, sometimes they don't feel involved in district level decisions, and parents would like more support on social emotional learning. And so that's an interesting one there too. So to think a little bit more, well, how do we operationalize that and make them feel engaged in this process? Because certainly these are things on the board's mind and things educators are thinking about. So maybe it's fine tuning some of the ways you are communicating with them and getting them involved in their plans a little bit more too, what that looks like as well. So again, the respect was one area students felt like was a little bit lower. Then having more input on the rules in the classroom activities. So finding out when it is to be appropriate, when they can make the decision, and when it's something that is pretty up to the administration. It reminds me sometimes with my 4-year-old, and I have to tell him, it's really hard that the adult has to make the call here too, and you can't decide on this one. So figuring out those ways to communicate too. And then we talked about being treated equally regardless of gender identity or sexual orientation. Then for staff, we looked at informal opportunities, again, being engaged in the decision-making. And again, this is kind of a similar theme for all of these two about being involved in the decision-making. And I would suspect the trust maybe is a little bit tied in with those three as well, about, are they not coming to me because they don't trust me, or not appropriate for me to be involved, but wanting some more autonomy and being involved in decision-making is something to explore a little bit more there too. Parents, we talked about a little bit here about being involved in the social emotional learning, the communication, and again, about the respect of students of different sexual orientations, and then instructional materials. So just more awareness on that too, which again ties into a little bit about the social emotional learning skills too as well. So then we get into the safety domain. And again, this quote, this is from a parent from Riley Elementary. All the teachers my children have been amazing. The principal is outstanding. So a good one to share with that principal that there's some really good feedback and good things are happening at the school here too. So when we look at the safety domain here too, the one that scored the highest was emergency readiness and management. That question was not asked of the students. That's why you don't see the bar chart on there too, but that was a 3.0. And then the substance abuse was the one that scored the lowest. And that's one that we really hear across all the schools that we're working with about, particularly comes up, kids are, vaping in the bathroom or using drugs in the bathroom, all sorts of things about that too. So that is not something that's unique to you, certainly. It's really a challenge that every district is facing on there too. So again, it's a good benchmark for you to think about, but it's probably gonna be a persistent challenge to really think about how do we make this better, and can we start measuring ourselves and the changes going forward. So if we look at, again, the top-rated statements here as well, generally the students do feel physically safe when attending Oswego schools, which is great. And staff do feel it's a positive work environment with little discrimination. And they also feel that the students are safe, and the parents are pleased with the communication about what's going to happen regarding emergencies and all that too as well, which is all very positive and great things. Again, these are all good baseline things to build upon and action items. So if you start thinking about what changes do we made, how do we make this better, and again, how do we celebrate what's working really well. Some of the things here that were rated on the bottom in terms of safety. So again, students feel like the bullying and cyberbullying across the district. We talked earlier about the social media. So I'm wondering, one thing to think a little bit different, think a little bit more on is, how, students get a better understanding about, their digital identity, how they're using online tools, and all that too. So they're aware, how to act in these situations, and then, really leverage the strong relationships they have to work with an adult if they need to, and also building the resiliency themselves to be able to manage that as well. Students and parents also feel there is a lot of there's physical fighting taking place, so figuring out how to reduce that and communicate what's happening at the school. And then again, the issues of vaping, which parents have brought up too as well. And again, that's not unique at all to Oswego, and most of these issues really we do here in a lot of the school district work that we've been doing. I did. Oh, there we go. Now it's going to go too fast. All right. So environment. So here we see kind of the mean scores here. The instructional environment scored the highest here too. And the parents gave that a 3.12, which is great. I think it means really they feel very strong about the quality of the instructional experience their children are getting. But again, it's figuring out how do we fine-tune some of these things and give them a little more maybe insight to the curriculum or the social and emotional learning tools that are being implemented, and helping them understand really what's going on. A little bit more in depth there too. So physical environment, again, parents scored that well too. And we'll talk through some of these as well. And again, this is where the disciplinary action came up again with parents and staff who want to see some improvements on how issues are handled on here too. And again, we talked a little bit, that's a tough one to really drill down into. A lot of it's, again, contextual, context-based, but again, it's focusing on those communication issues too, and some education too, and maybe working to understand about what skills do maybe some of the teachers need to communicate back, or ways to think about discipline and making sure that it really is handled fairly and without bias there too. So when we look at some of the top-rated statements on here too, so for the students, I love seeing this one. My teachers expect me to do my best all the time. Again, I think this is, what's interesting about this survey is a lot of the domains, it kind of feels like they could maybe fall into different categories too. So some of this is kind of like a relationship piece here as well. So I mean, again, it ties into this feeling that they feel strong support from their teachers on here too, and they're in their corner, which is what every kid really needs. So when they have to have that hard discussion with somebody, again, you have that somewhere to start from. So my teachers make it clear to me when I have misbehaved in class, so there you go. So again, give the students they have a lot of self-awareness about what's happening on there too, and then my teachers really care about me. So great that these are some of the ones that were highly rated by students about their experience here in Oswego. So students staff at the school recognize students for positive behavior. That's what staff rated as their highest one. Again, so that's great that there's some intentionality about rewarding the positive behavior and really enforcing those behaviors too, and not focusing on redirecting or correcting behaviors there too, and celebrating strengths there as well. Again, expectations of the students, similar to how the students respond to that, expecting them to do their best. And then, the third one on here is really just about that there's, keeping things clean and all that, that's expectation there about, the building on there too as well. The physical environment is clean and well maintained. So then the parents, their top highly rated response was, attending school every day is important for my children to do well in his or her classes. So again, they know the value in making sure that they're going to their classes and staying engaged, and making sure that everything's going well there. My children's teachers make themselves available to me, which is great, and the school looks clean and pleasant there too. So again, all good things about the environment that also WeGo has here too. So some of the items that were rated lower. So think about this. So students made note of negative interactions with one another. They also feel that the bathrooms are not always clean. Staff and parents feel disciplinary action taken by district is unfair and not handled effectively. And staff feel poor mental health is an issue, the district for both staff and students. And parents would like to hear more positive communication from the district there too as well. So these are all different ways, I think, that you can kind of think about how do we celebrate things are working well, communicate that more, and also open up different ways to learn how we can improve our communication and constructively get that feedback and really make it actionable right down at the building level to fix the issues that we might be experiencing to really make the environment as positive as it can be. So we also asked a series of questions around mental health of students. And so this first one was about over the past 30 days, how often will the students' mental health poor or not good? So the staff, you can kind of see they all answered a little bit. The students and the parents are fairly similar, and then the staff answered just a little bit differently there too as well. So definitely it feels like the staff are picking up some more things about the students with more kind of in that gray area, about that sometimes that the students are having, their mental health's not poor or good. And we dove a little bit deeper to understand what the stressful factors were for students too as well. And so for students, their top factors were grades, their own expectations, getting into college, and then closely followed by homework. So that's what they feel is really the most stress that being caused by them. From the staff perspective, social media was number one, relationships with other students, and then financial issues for number three. And again, 1 and 2 could kind of be related there as well. If there's different, cyberbullying or things happening on different social networks, that could be causing friction or stress between, students between one another. And then when we asked the parents, what the most stressful factors are for their children, they said expectations, grades, and homework. So staff rated homework as one of the least stressful factors for students, while students rate social media as much less stressful. So there's some interesting kind of differences between this about what they're perceiving as causing the most stress there too, and it kind of makes, to me, it kind of makes sense a little bit on the narrative there, as well as just basically, what their different roles are, but opens the door for thinking about how do we help students really, understand, where the stresses are and making sure that, those, 30 days that, there's not, more good days than bad there too for students. And then this last question was the overall satisfaction with the district. With the mean score, this was out of 5, was a 3.4. Again, this is showing that they are satisfied with the district and the quality of education that they're getting. And this last quote from a middle school parent really I thought was great. So I know it's small, so to read it for all you. I gave you all educators a million rounds of applause for all you deal with on a daily basis. You all are doing the very best you can while trying to keep everyone safe and happy. I applaud all that you do. So I think that's really just a nice quote to hear and just a reminder about how challenging the work is you do, but you provide a great value and service and quality education to all the kids. And your hearts are certainly in all the right spots here too as well. So with that, broke it again. So just a couple recommendations. And again, we kept these at a high level for you to think through, but can kind of work through as you kind of drill down and turn these, the data that we provided into action items. Again, that continued emphasis on kindness, positivity, and respect, upholding consistent disciplinary action and policy enforcement, addressing the bullying, fighting, and substance abuse issues, and then really celebrating the student and staff successes and accomplishments. It was wonderful to see the highlights that you presented here today, just in those few slides about all the wonderful things you're doing in terms of enrichment. And when I saw all the little ducks too, my son just did the same thing. And he was coming home talking about all the names and stuff. So I just know that the kids are probably doing here in Oswego the same things too as well. And he actually had one, he's funny. He said, well, we named one Henry. His name's Henry. We named one Henry. I said, they named a duck after you? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, so it was very cute. But it's just fun. All that stuff is great. So celebrate all that means a lot to both the families and the students there too, things that they'll remember. Then enhancing the social and emotional learning and curriculum in and out of the classroom. Some of this I know is happening that you're doing, so it might just be tailoring your communication a little differently, talking about this. A lot of the time it just gets jumbled up. We're using terms that are very similar for different things, so it might just be tweaking a little bit your communication style to parents and reinforcing that these things are actually happening, and here's some evidence of it too. And then I would encourage you to continue to share the results of each survey with stakeholders. Let them know how important this data is. You've already kind of set the stage for wanting to hear it, setting benchmarks and seeing improvements. So I think it's really important that, when you do this again, see if you get those response rates even up even higher, or more feedback. And I think that will really help just seeing the success or knowing that, they were really heard and listened from the value that they provided too as well. So great ways just to keep everybody accountable to and keep up the positive momentum that you've all built from this first initiative as well. So I know I went through a lot of data very quick. It's a lot to digest and process, but if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them or address them. And if we leave here tonight and you think of further questions, happy to do further discussions or speak with you. We can more to clarify. And I know once other principals and folks get their hands into the data, I'm sure there'll be other questions too. And we're happy to chat more. But anything I can clarify for people?
Thank you very much. Any board members have any questions?
I just have one question.
Sure.
The emphasis of kindness and positivity and respect, I was surprised to see that some people saw that as we were lacking that, because I would think that was one of the strongest things that we have in every school that we go to and is there. So is there a way in the framing of that question that it could be misinterpreted or thought of as we're teaching them that there's not enough kindness and respect? Or how is the framing of that?
Yeah, so I think that recommendation comes partly from the quantitative questions that we asked, but also the qualitative data that we got out of it too. So I think it's just probably just reinforcing what you're doing too. So I think sometimes we heard about things about sexual orientation or gender identity on there too. So maybe it's coming out in some of those issues too as well to really enforce it more targeted or more globally, making sure everybody feels inclusive on there too as well. So again, some of these are really tricky as I know you're doing them and so it's like delivering the people is like, I know they're doing it, I know they're, just keep pushing it too. And again, you tell it's important to you on there as well. And it's great you're asking those questions as well. And I would maybe think about to the schools at the high school, particularly the high school and maybe the middle school level too, is maybe think about having like a small focus group or with students and just say, hey, tell us what you think. I really feel like we're doing a lot here too, but we want to make sure it's resonating with you. Is there things that we can change or what's working really well? So maybe just asking that really, in that setting with them too, or even maybe having the students say, if they don't want the adult there, or having them, let's have them work together as a group too on it as well to figure out what it can be. And, it could kind of qualify some of that to really get, here's something very tactical or tangible we can do. I was like, oh, and you came to the school and you presented, these things happened and it made us, we think this could have been better or something. That might help clarify a little bit for you too. But I mean, just talk to them and see what their reaction is on there too, I think would help. So,
Thank you.
yep.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Appreciate
Yeah, I appreciate your time tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you both, appreciate it. Now we have a presentation of 3 of our building level administrators. This time last year, we presented to the district our finalized strategic plan. And then in the fall, we had the buildings come and talk about their building level action plans to kind of move that work forward And as promised, this is the first group of buildings kind of talking about their progress. And so, as we talked about last year, annually, what we will do is every building, every fall, we'll talk about what are their new goals, what are the things in which they're working on, and then the spring will come along and we will talk a little bit more about what they've noticed, what they've accomplished, what they're looking forward to. And then we're also going to be working with our city PR team about sending out a much more detailed newsletter, likely in July, that kind of captures a lot of the great work that's been done in the buildings, kind of as an annual report card, if you will, of the work that's been going on to kind of continue that communication to our community. And with that, I turn it over.
Good evening. So we are going to start off with Riley School. One of the largest chunks that we were able to start last year and delve into this year is school culture and climate. We wanted to enhance staff morale. We know that when people are happy, they exemplify that in their everyday teachings. We wanted to cultivate and collaborate with our school environment, really trying to be supportive of one another in order to therefore be supportive of our students. Some of the items that we've done this year are games for staff. On the left is a rock, paper, scissors that we had staff all over the building doing to bring people out into different parts of the building. We've had a secret spirit week. On the right, if you do have an opportunity to look at it, there's a wonderful little video of our staff doing anything but a cup challenge. It was really fun. We do our community gatherings together. We had a Build-A-Bench activity for our outdoor learning lab this year. We've had multiple committees that we've really opened up for some shared decision-making. We've had an introduction of our community clothes closet that was just introduced last month. We have night events for families, more so than we've had in the past. We've done bingo for books and pirate night. Oh, boy, we might want to just keep fun, but I know we'll be so captivated. I'll go over my 7 minutes. So as far as school culture and climate, there are some other items that I really wanted to be able to pronounce today. We are engaging families in our community in school activities and decision-making processes. We are trying to foster that sense of belonging. We've narrowed down our crises procedures and interventions. We now have a crisis team that is something that we have truly honed all year to try to meet student needs and teacher needs. And what we've done with that is try to help during and after a crisis, as well as transitioning a student back to class. We are really working hard on being able to acclimate students to the best environment at the time that they might be in. We've had daily support that's been provided for primary classrooms at the bookends of our day. Kindergarten and first grade have those extra hands that has been instrumental in them launching into their instruction earlier than normal. We have common language across our building. We've been using our Second Step program as typical, but in looking ahead, our Guiding Coalition has designed this program where our Second Step is now in the hands of all teachers starting in the fall. It's going to be required that in the first 6 weeks, every classroom teacher will be teaching Second Step instead of it just being the counselors on a year-long program, so that we will have that common language across our building used. Not only that, but we can continue to utilize those lessons as we see fit throughout the school year. We're encouraging attendance at our in-school meetings, which is huge because sometimes there's only 4 people and it's kind of lonely in that library. We are suggesting a plethora of activities for them to be able to blend into our community and enhance our school community through home and school. We did employ the Golden Goose Award to faculty, which is facilitated by donations within our school building. Our second goal was student success, and this was broken down into 2 different parts. I will be quick when I go through here, but the first one is collaboration. We have to be able to foundationally implement really great standings among our staff and our faculty in order to address all student needs. So we've been providing a structured time for teachers. That was our goal, to collaborate across all areas, and we've addressed that by having grade level and department meetings every 6 weeks just with me. They are able to design whatever agenda they want. It might be curriculum, it might be timing, it might be student needs. We have monthly faculty meetings, but instead of just it being something that could be memoable, we're having time to collaborate, and those pictures are showing different portions of our collaboration, giving them data for them to dive into and be important stakeholders in our decision-making. And on the last few days of school, we are going to be hosting vertical meetings so that our students, best practices by our teachers, are going to next year's teachers before they even have a chance to meet the children. Our second goal, obviously, with student success is academic growth. And we wanted to provide a chance for us to have at least 80% of our students making average or above average growth. And in math, we can see kindergarten, we have our progress for our annual typical growth. That's the great big numbers that you see with percentage-wise. Through our iReady program, the data is showing we are meeting many annual typical growth needs. A couple of our grade levels, second and fourth grade, are far exceeding what is typical. And the arrows point to improvement that's been made. And we have 46%, 44%, 67%, 62%, 93%. We are showing growth in math across our building. And there we go. The next few slides I'm not going to spend time on, but I want to share with you. These are our ELA results, but they are not complete. Our benchmarking window is still open for another week. So what you have in front of you are for the next slides, it's just delineated by grade level, our beginning of the year. And it says our end of the year measures. They're not our end of the year measures. Those are the measures that we have in our Amplify through our DIBELS. That's one measure of our reading success, but we are in the process of benchmarking. Those numbers are going to change. But in a nutshell, when you look at it, you really want to make sure that you see the red decreasing, the blue and green increasing. So those are kindergarten and first grade. Here's second, third, and fourth grade. Here's fifth and sixth grade. So at that glance, it looks like we've got some work to do. We do. And growth takes time. We are really battening the hatches down on our CLA program and our iReady program to make it meaningful instruction every single day. And it wasn't always that way. And now that that expectation is there, we are seeing growth. It just takes time. Our second goal for student success was absenteeism. This is one that we really made a commitment this year to do. This will continue to grow with us in subsequent years. But I wanted to have you notice that our chronic absenteeism last year, our goal was to reduce it by 10%. Wow, was that lofty. Let's hear it for Riley being, we did not meet that goal. But we came close, and I want to explain why. Our attendance rate right now, those attended, is 90.38%. But that's not what attendance is when it's chronic absenteeism. We need to look at the kids and why they're absent. So in the upper right, you're going to notice the percentage of students that have been absent in our risk levels. At high risk, we've got 18% of our students at high risk. We have 18% at yellow, which are at risk also. But we've got 20% that are doing pretty well, and we've got a 33% that are doing fabulous. But when you break that down by grade level, you can kindergarten to sixth grade, and then on the right are our UPKs. But you can see by grade level, we're really trying to dig into where our issues lie. In the red, I think, is incredibly important. So we started off last year with 39%. Right now, we're targeting about 38.2% absenteeism, chronic absenteeism. However, we really looked at factors that are creating this problem, and so many are not within our scope of helping. For instance, we have 10 McKinney-Vento children, or children that were hospitalized or couldn't attend because of vaccinations. Those were 10 kids out of our school. We had 4 extended surgeries or injuries, and we had 9 students who left our building and never registered anyplace else until we bugged or CPS them until they were registered. That's a total of 23 students that brings our absenteeism rates from 38.2% down to 30.6%. So some things are out of our control. We're going to focus on things that are in our control. In addition to that, we are doing some pretty amazing things over there. We have an awareness of staff and students on attendance. We have hallway TVs that we are constantly sending attendance messages on. We have attendance boards posted outside of the classroom for daily attendance. We have monthly attendance contests with prizes. We did host a family workshop on attendance. It was attended by 35 people. We were really excited about that. And what we did was we broke it up into 6 stations or reasons why a student might be absent and offered help to those parents that did come. We created a welcoming environment for students, starting with the very front office. Instead of, why are you late? It's welcome, we're so glad you're here. Even those little tidbits really help. And we're currently working on creating an attendance flow chart for teachers. So when a student is absent, how many days, what's the first thing you do? What's the next thing you do? At what point does the principal call? When do we get CPS involved? And by having it be a consistent flow chart, we're hoping we're going to see better, consistent measures. Our goal number 3 was community connections. We wanted to increase parent, guardian, and community engagement. This was a huge commitment by everybody. We've done it in multiple ways. Our community gatherings are put on by our students and our teachers, and the grade level that does it, those parents are invited in. We have home and school meetings that we are welcoming more and more people into. We have vestibule resources. We have a TV out in our vestibule this year. We have resources that I probably every single day give out to parents. Liberty Resources, Connects Care, things that parents might not have access to. We have go stations there. We do phone calls home. The staff have been encouraged to do that more often. They were afraid of it before, generally speaking, and we're trying to make it a norm. I do family videos still every week or every other week of they're very corny, but I'm talking on, a video to parents to let them know what we're doing every day. We've hosted parent workshops, and we have a Riley Kid Garden that we are doing intergenerational work for as soon as it is put to completion. And our operational systems, we had one goal, and that was to connect everybody with Parent Square this year. And I'm proud to say, when I logged on to Parent Square, we have 100%, so we totally met that goal. The rest are works in process. And that's what I've got. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
My goal is to keep it within the time frame. So, thank you everybody for this opportunity as well. We're going to share with you some of the work that we've been doing at Layton since the beginning of the year, starting with some feedback that we're using some feedback that we got at the end of the year to start, that was set our goals. And then throughout the year, we've been having some, whether it be Home and School Association, staff or faculty, or surveying and kind of interviewing different ways in how we can reach both staff, student, and families. So our first goal at the beginning of the year was to build and strengthen student connections and enhance climate and culture through positive school experiences. One of the things that became a huge notice for us over a period of time, as Tracy had explained, there are lots of hurdles and obstacles as in regards to why students aren't attending school. So over the time that I've been at Layton, we've been chipping away at that a little bit each year, but not really seeing huge gains and growth in regards to the amount of time and effort that's been put into it. So what we did this year is we created a method or a system to identify and implement support plans by student. So we're meeting once a week. We have monthly classroom attendance incentives. We have a student-led assembly. What's new is a principal-student advisory team. So once a month, I meet with a group of students, and we help determine what decisions need to be made for the school. Student council also has a huge role in that. We have student attendance patches that we hand out by quarter at our PBIS celebration assembly. And then Texas Roadhouse partnered with us this year and wanted to, we're, I guess, helping us to celebrate attendance with handing out gift certificates per month for students. So we would put all the students that either got nominated for a character trait, they would go into, we'd have a spinning digital wheel, and then 3 students would get a Texas Roadhouse gift certificate. What we've noticed over a period of time, I just have 3 years on here just to keep it a little bit shorter, that over the last 3 years, the trend for chronic absenteeism has been 90 in 2022-23, went up to 98 in 23 and 24. The difference between that year and this year, those are in May, middle of May, real-time data each year. So what we can attribute this year is all of those things that we put in place, and we're specifically partnered with outside agencies, community partners, family meetings. We've been tracking attendance by month. So I know generally we look at by quarter, what does chronic absenteeism look like, but when we know what are those cut points along the monthly when you're trying to track it. So we know that students have more than 2 days of absence in a month. Over the course of 10 months, that equates to missing more than the allowed, the 18 days per school year. So what we try to do, or what we have been doing, is addressing it monthly, getting right out of the gate in September. If we already start to see a trend, how are we tackling that by student and by family? And number of students, 71 students right now are considered chronically absent at Layton. That equates to 50 families. So what we've noticed is that same trend is that it's not just by student, that some families have multiple students that aren't coming to school. So the second goal was increase the number of students that make adequate growth. I feel like these are out of order, but maybe not. Was to make adequate growth in our proficient math skills expected at each grade level. As Tracy had explained, we are right in the middle of our assessment testing window, so we don't have complete data for end of year. But what we wanted to highlight is using the iReady platform, there are things that we already know. So this was based on our diagnostic tests that we have. We have one in the fall and one in the winter and one in the spring. This was fall and winter. This was a sample at a grade level. This was third grade. Based on the diagnostic data that we had at that time, middle of the year, we're right in the middle of completing our third one, that if students showed no additional growth in third grade, then 30% of the students would be proficient or score a 3 or 4 on our New York State assessment. Just students achieving typical growth, that percentage would rise to 61%. So we know that we'd expect students to make typical growth. The slide that's not on here as stretch growth is even kind of high in the sky, a little bit more ambitious. It's not on here, but it would be up to 67%. So right now we are already projecting our students based on what we know already and how they're performing, that we're expecting this at third grade. Another option that was available to us that was shared with our coordinator of math this year around the middle of the year is called the projected proficiency tab. Say that a few times fast. And what I did was took a sample of one student on the left-hand side. That is a student that in the blue bar that you see there, diagnostic 1 and diagnostic 2. The arrow is how the student had grown in percentage point or points from assessment to assessment. What that also shared with us, if you look on the right, is that also really delves into where the student is either proficient or has some gaps. So based on that data, use that at monthly data meetings. We have team meetings, and we make decisions about what needs to happen next. One particular grade level, we worked with the teachers gave practice tests based on information, based on the skills gaps that were made evident through this information. Also created some other small groups, based instruction on skill, and we were reteaching until mastery. So that was trying to close those gaps very specifically based on state standards. A highlight, we do have second grade that we know, we do have some math data in that they are done with their spring diagnostic assessment for iReady. This was a huge celebration, and I wanted to make sure I shared because for one, it's available, and the way we would read this, that we have typical growth, stretch growth, which was what I talked about earlier. 65% of our second graders have made 127% of their typical growth, and 32% made 81% of their stretch growth, which is super exciting, really amazing to know that 81% of our second graders in this measure have showed improvement from the beginning of the year. This is ELA, a little bit differently. This is not DIBELS data. This is based on skill set in terms of the skills that students need in order to be able to read. So we also know they have to have the skills and the decoding and have the skills to be able to read, but also be fluent readers. So this is sixth grade. What I wanted to share here, if you look across the bottom, are the skill sets that are required in order for students to be able to read based on the skills that are along the progression. In the beginning of the year, we had 18 students in sixth grade that are skill sets 8 to 10. That is a second grade marker. From beginning of the year, which is a light blue, to the middle of the year, that number shifted. And then at the very end of the year, we noticed that we have 1 student in skill set 8 to 10, 6 in 11 to 12, which is decoding multisyllabic words, both 2 and 3 syllables, up to 35 students in sixth grade that are 13 at skill set and above, which means that they have broken the code and they know how to read. So the celebration there is we are sending our sixth graders as readers onto the middle school. So are they super fast, super fluent? No, but they have the skills, and that's the thing. So how do you tackle that? More time on text. So they have the skills. They just need to practice more. First grade, this was a moment of reflection for all of us. Mid-year progress and monitoring data indicated 50% of our first graders showed slow or minimal growth in nonsense word fluency, which is another indicator. It's the ability to manipulate and recognize sounds in language. We saw that half of our first graders at that point were at the at-risk level. So we immediately met with the team, came up with a plan. We already had that diagnostic data to see that if we look in the beginning of the year, where that light blue is, we know that the bar was a little bigger at the end of the year. If we look at the little key at the top, it says at the end of the year, first grade should be at skill set 9. 35 of our first graders are already at skill set 9, and we still have the rest of June. 7 fall in the skill set 7, 8, and 8 fall in skill set 5 and 6. Huge growth and gains there. Great team effort, great work. That really was everybody putting their heads together and how are we going to change this? How are we going to make it happen? First grade is very foundational, and we know it starts there. So kudos to that team. This is our flow chart for our school-based intervention team. This was shared with all staff in the beginning of the year, and what it is a process and a procedure for how do we address gaps in student learning for students who are working below grade level. It takes us through the flow chart, who's accountable, what to do, and some resources as well. Almost last, how our third goal was enhance family engagement experiences based upon feedback survey and home and school association collaboration. Another Google surveys go out to families to poll in regards to what family events do we want to keep, what do we want to change, and what would we like to see. New events this year based on feedback were talent show, the Aladdin musical. Monthly events, like I said, were changed based on parent feedback from the end of last year. We also had student input for our PBIS assembly. They wanted it to be up in the middle of the action, so they did a hoop contest. They enjoyed some staff trivia, which is coming up. They're going to. That was based on some feedback from last year. And we had a SUNY Oswego versus staff hockey game. And it felt like there was probably 20,000 students in there, as loud and crazy as it was. They were very excited for that. We also partnered with local agencies. Connects Care has been a huge positive and a plus for all of us here in the district, especially Layton. We have so many students now that can leave their classroom and go right to the care that they need. So that's been a huge positive. Last one was to reviewing the building to determine improvements needed to ensure the safety of students both inside and outside the school day. This is, Cindy and I have been working, and Raina, and Amy as well, trying to coordinate family events. Layton, and the Layton Gym, we all know, is the hub of where everything happens, and we share a campus with the school. So it's making sure that we coordinate those events so there's not a huge overlap and that we can accommodate ample parking for families if we have more than one event going on. This year, we identified the temporary relocation site when we have to evacuate for a short term. That's the Moose Lodge. Our safety team went and visited the location. We coordinated with members of the organization. We came up with a plan, like what are we going to do when we get there? We also, we meet 4 times a year, and this year the follow-through was on a door check system. So through the custodians, or our head custodian and the staff throughout the day, creating a door check system to make sure that we're safe and secure. That's it. I know I did not make it. Sorry. I'm going to work really hard to make it for you. So at the high school under culture and climate, our first goal was to create a framework for proposing some course offerings. So working with Amanda Caldwell in the Curriculum and Instruction Office, a new proposal form was made and a timeline so that we can get student feedback, teacher feedback. We have a survey that's going to be going out in the next week for our underclassmen that are moving up on what their interests are. We're really interested in programming around student interest and still meeting all of the standards and criteria that we have to through New York State. So with that, we have the new form proposal that is being pushed out along with that timeline, and then the survey will be going out within the next week to our underclassmen. The next goal was to increase visibility of our school branding. I'm working with Mr. Bach and Sarah McCroby out at PR at City BOCES, and they've done a fantastic job. They've started by creating us uniform nameplates that can be customized. It is district branded, it has district logo on it, district fonts, and so the entire school, all of the teachers will have those outside of their room and updated. Right now, everyone kind of piecemeals their own, but we're gonna have some consistency through the building. Additionally, we're missing some signage. There's a lot of people that come in at night and want to know where the pool is and things like that. So they're also working on the signage for that as well, and they've created templates for us to start replacing things. So we're not just sticking signs on the wall, but it's actually branded with the Oswego City School District theme. We are outsourcing the Buck logo. My big push was that when you walk in the school, I want them to see that blue and see that Buck. And so we're looking to have that branding put on our windows and our doors, on our exterior. And unfortunately, that has to be outsourced. BOCES doesn't have the product for that, but they are going to get us some pricing, and we're looking to implement some of that over the summer. We're waiting some pricing, but very excited to get that started. The next one under school culture and climate is celebrating student success. So every month we do have a Buck of the Month character trait. We coordinate with the middle school, so we have consistent traits. Amy and I are coordinating a lot of things through the buildings, and we have those character traits recognized. You see some of our Buck of the Months on the side there. It is sponsored by Tully's and by the Buck Boosters. Additionally, we not only have gift cards for that, but we made a shift this year to also recognize anyone who was nominated, so that increase, and those students do get to see all of the nice things that are said about them from their teachers, even if they aren't the ones selected. We also have our awards, which are coming up next week, June 12th at 1:45 p.m. We are also going to be doing the Super Buck recognition, which is on the bottom during that ceremony. 6 o'clock that same evening, we will be doing the scholarship and awards night, so recognizing our students and all the great things that they're doing. Additionally, the administrative team sent home congratulatory postcards and notes. Anytime there's an event like NISMA or Envirothon or OK League, we're trying to recognize those students, and I know they love getting the mail. I even got a few emails from students saying, wow, you sent me a postcard. It's recognizing those little things that help build the culture as well. Recognizing the positive teacher and staff contributions, again, we have the Buck of the Month, and we did start including the faculty as well, and they are now nominated from their peers. So I start every faculty meeting by announcing the monthly Buck of the Month for staff, and it's a great way to be recognized in front of their peers. At those faculty meetings, just a great way to start. And then the Super Buck recognition is actually the students recognizing the staff. So the little things they see, they have the opportunity to shout out to the staff. And I have to thank Tara Clark for that, because that's the one thing she brought to the table, and it's really wonderful. Under student success, our goal as a guiding coalition was to have a clear purpose statement. As we're starting to lift PLCs, we really wanted to make sure that we knew what our purpose was within the whole process. And our guiding coalition came up with the following. Our guiding coalition exists to cultivate a school community that supports and empowers all of its members by establishing specific and attainable outcomes. The purpose of our guiding coalition is to foster a school community where every member is supported and empowered. We achieve this by establishing clear and achievable goals that enhance inclusivity and enable collective growth. One of my goals as I'm making the master schedule is to make sure that I have some time for some teams to work. And as part of that, it's about establishing that it is for all of the stakeholders and all of the members. It's the staff and the students working together. Under student success, chronic absenteeism has been a big focus for us. We do have an attendance committee that works on this. Letters sent home, data review, daily calls, and one thing I neglected to put up there is we also have a social worker that does home visits and tries to remove some of those barriers for families and works really hard on that. With that, the attendance rate this time last year was 87.56, and we are currently at 88.48. So we have kids coming to school a little bit more. Additionally, I have one more for you. From September to May of this year, our absenteeism rate went from 13.37 to 12.62. So those efforts seem to be working. It's small growth, but when we put that attention on there, we also have a collaboration with the Department of Social Services. We meet monthly, middle school and high school. We meeting once a month on a Friday, and we discuss our students and discuss our families and try to work with them to remove barriers for those students who have been identified through the DSS system. Additionally, under student success, our goal was to reduce students failing two or more courses. So we implemented offering academic support 4 times a week after school. It's a half an hour. The students can come in, they can work with a teacher, and they're still transporting after school. We are looking to put more focus on this and restructure a little bit to get the attendance up. The attendance isn't quite what we wanted it to be, but there are many students that did benefit from this. Additionally, we've had our learning lab, but this year we implemented data tracking, and not only do we have student-specific data, we know exactly what a student's working on, how often that they've attended, and what their grades are, and how they've progressed throughout the year. The team in the learning lab has done a phenomenal job of tracking that data. And then students who aren't successful are students that are brought up in our student support team once a week, and we talk about, we know that they're having the learning lab and other supports, what else can we get those students to help them be successful? Over the January Regents Week, we also implemented the intensive learning lab. So while we had Regents exams going on and students weren't necessarily in session, we worked with transportation and we were able to bring students in to do some recovery and to get some extra work done. And in that, I'm proud to say we had over 500 courses that were recovered or caught up during that January Regents Week, and that made a huge difference for our students. Under community connections, our goal was to establish a plan for community outreach. And originally our thought was how to out into the community. And instead we had to reverse that and pivot. And when we came back, Mrs. Bateman did a great job. You heard earlier Mr. Chapa talking about our Port City connections. We had over 30 organizations come in, clubs and outside organizations, and provide just free support for all of our families. It was pretty well attended. This year coming up, we are actually going to dovetail that onto open house. So you can see this event again in the fall. Every organization that I spoke with was interested in coming back. And it was just a great way to offer some counseling, and we had financial people, and there was just so many community resources in there. They had free games and free giveaways, and we were also able to have free food that night, and we were also had families that went away with takeaway dinners. So a lot of donations to that, and that was a very successful event. One under community connections that we are still working on in progress is researching the plan for an HSA. So I've been talking with many parents that are currently in the HSAs for the elementary and the middle school, and really working to implement that. So that is in progress, but that is a goal that we did not hit this year. Additionally, with community connections, regular communication with our families is extremely important. So with the yearbook class and Mr. Bach's class, Mr. Bach himself, we have the OHS Quarterly, which is a digital newsletter that gives the happenings of the school and information that comes together. This is student generated, and it is just fantastically done. If you haven't seen it yet, I can email you one. It's just wonderful. It encapsulates all of the positive things going on in the school and any information our families may need coming up. It gets sent through Parent Square as a reminder that a school tool is open with their child's grades and that the report card's being mailed home. But it also is just a great way to keep up on what's going on at Oswego High School. And very proud to say that we were able to get all of those done this year, and Q4 is in progress. And last but not least, operational system, it's getting later. To establish school-wide systems to collect accurate data to meet our needs. So analyzing our school tool data in 3 focus areas. We currently look at our attendance data weekly, and the attendance team takes on that weekly. Our discipline team looks at about every 5 weeks. We're looking to be more consistent on that and look for target areas where we can improve and make those our focuses for our entire staff. Academic data is reviewed every 5 weeks, and then we actually couple with Learning Lab and other resources to make sure we're giving as many opportunities for our students to do well academically. The next part of that was creating a Google Drive of process and procedure. That is in progress, and we'll be loading a lot of process and procedure in over the summer. Very excited to be able to launch a more complete version of that. It will always be a work in progress, but most of that will be done as we start school in September. And then the creation of the OHS hub or dashboard for clear communication. You can see it on the right. It'll be a one-stop shop for information for anybody who's at OHS. So if they need something, it's right at their fingertips. It has a Google link right to it. So in addition to the Google Drive, you actually have a one-pager that will give all the information that might be needed. And that's Oswego High School. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything from the board? All right, thank you to everybody for coming out. That's a lot of great work, and what I most appreciate is the fact that when you set a plan needs to be assessed. And the fact that we're in here and we're talking about what you're doing and how you're implementing, and the fact that the plan is to come back on an annual basis, so the board can hear in the fall what the plan is, and then hear in the spring what's going on. I think that's a wonderful new change that we're doing, so thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kilmer. We're to committee discussions. So Facilities Committee, Sean?
I have a few updates. The 2018, the oldest of our capital improvement projects, $63.1 million project, has been bid out, moving forward. Scheduled, the last part of that project, it's been a long time in the making, but starting to schedule that for next summer into the fall. So we're still, the last part of that, we're still a little bit off, but that has a lot to do with Buccaneer Boulevard, if you remember. Really the deconstruction of everything along Buccaneer Boulevard, a lot of asphalt, the new tennis courts, playground stuff over on that side over there. So a lot of planning there. The development design of the 2024 capital project, $46.5 million. Primary focus, a couple areas here. I spoke about it at our last board meeting, but the OHS technology suite. And we have some renderings of that and what that's going to look like, and that's an unbelievable transformation. The media center, where we are right now, takes on a different name than a library. And then over at the middle school, the office suite, when you go in, the main hallway and to the right. So also trying to scoop in some preliminary work on the high school gymnasium spaces. So we're just looking into life expectancy and what we can do to get those in better shapes than they are right now. Then lighting upgrades at Frederick Layton and the Education Center are almost complete. We have some boilers over at Charles E. Riley. They're scheduled for delivery at the middle of this month. And then at the middle school and high school, new pool covers, we'll be looking to get those in June or early July. On my way in, I saw some of the SBBA security camera project going on. Maybe if you came in from the west side, you saw a new camera going up at the corner of the high school. So this will help improve, obviously, the district's safety initiatives. It's been swift and going along quickly. The additional cameras have a significant impact on our storage space, given the number and capabilities of all the new units. So good news there. Over at Riley, we continue to move forward with the 2024-25 capital outlay project. So that's ongoing and moving forward over the next couple weeks. Last update, the emergency elevator project. This was touch and go because of the lead time on the elevators. So, we're kind of sweating this out. And until we have the equipment, we need to pay attention to the delivery of those. But for FPS and KPS, we're scheduled to start work on those elevators at the very end of the school year to give us enough time with the construction to have those ready for when students and staff come back into those buildings. So tight timeline. We've over-communicated about getting that done as quickly as possible. Without hiccup, we'll be ready to accept everybody back in the fall.
Great. Thank you very much, Sean. Policy Committee, Kristen?
Yes, thank you. So since our last board meeting, our policy committee met on 5/20/23, and then we're meeting again this Friday. We started off our meeting on 5/23, reviewing all of the onboarding policies with regards to new board members to make sure everything's all set there. We did identify that our committees, which are listed, like for instance on this agenda, are not all included in the policy. Not really sure why. So we're going to correct for that and make sure that all of our standing committees are listed. Then moving on, Governor Hochul signed some legislation that had 2 or 3 key pieces that affect school districts. One, as I'm sure so many people have heard, is the bell-to-bell ban on cell phones. Cell phone use, not cell phone possession, to be clear. The second has to do with maximum temperatures in classrooms, and that you have to have policies in place regarding that. And the last is that all school districts will be required to have a student board education member. We, of course, already have that. We're leading the charge. But we do have to make sure that all of our policies now are in sync with the new legislation signed by the governor. So we're working on the cell phone piece. I attended a class put on by the State School Association. It was a half-day class with an hour and a half devoted to each of these 3 things. Gave us some sample policies for the cell phones, so we're going to start working through that. We have to have our policy in place by August 1st. There are things that have to be considered, even though there is technically a bell-to-bell ban on cell phones. There are exceptions. One example is, for instance, students who are diabetic who have to use their phones to monitor their blood sugar. So an interesting issue that was brought up in that regard is it essentially outs them about their medical issues because they're allowed to have their cell phone. So there's a lot of things we have to think about and address and make sure that we are doing this in a smart way. With regards to the classroom max temperatures, that might seem really weird and like, why is the governor getting involved in that? That's not really about Oswego. We have air conditioning, but downstate schools all have that. So, but we do have to make sure we have a policy. So we'll make sure that's done as well. And lastly, with regards to the student board member, we will no longer have to have that as a district-wide vote every other year like we did last year, because this is now all districts are expected to have it. However, we are going to clean up our policy a little bit and provide some guidance to the student representative about the types of things to report on, to try to make it a little bit easier for them instead of them sort of struggling and trying to figure it out on their own. Sort of give them a list of things that we would be interested in hearing about to make, well, won't be Amanda anymore, but I'm sure Amanda would say that that would certainly make our job a lot easier if we said what we wanted to know about, right? So I'm hopeful, if not the next meeting, in the next couple meetings, we're going to see our policies on those 3 things so that we meet the deadlines imposed by the governor.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. Next on the agenda is, we get to vote on things again. Consent agenda. There are 3 items. I'd like to group them together, please. So if I can have a motion for consent agenda items A through C.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Julie. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion on items A through C? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Personnel, we'll group the professional staff first. So this is items A through G. So if I can have a motion, please, for items A through G.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Any discussion on these professional staff recommendations, items A through G? Okay, having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, we have a series of support staff recommendations. These are items H through L. So if I can have a motion for items H through L, please.
I'll move.
Thank you, Kristen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion on the support staff recommendations? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Excuse me. Finance is next, and we have a series of maintenance agreements and contracts. I'm going to do A through M first, please. So these are finance items A through M, which gets us through the contract with the TK elevator. So if I can have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second? Thank you, Sean. Okay, so any discussion on finance items A through M? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, we have a series of agreements that I'd like to group together. These are items N through R. So items N through R, which the stop-loss contract would be item R. So if I can have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Thank you, Kristen. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion on items N through R? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. I'm going to ask for unanimous consent here to adjust the language on item S, letter of recommendation. We're approving the 2024 Phase 1 capital improvement contracts. So as is in the file attachment, the resolution to approve the contracts there. So I'd just like an adjustment to the wording of item S to read approve the 2024 Phase 1. So by unanimous consent, we're all good? Yes? Okay. So if I can have a motion for item S, please?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Sean. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, David. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next up, we have student representative, Amanda.
I know it was already brought up, but we had our top 100 ceremony last night, so thank you for coming out to that, and thank you to the Rotary Club of Oswego for sponsoring, and everybody who helped put that together. And with that, the high school has a few more events planned for the end of the year to honor some of our students, and that is the Buck Sports Awards on June 11th, and the Scholarships Awards ceremony on June 12th. Thanks.
Thank you, Amanda. Items from the board. Any board members have items this evening? Kristen?
A couple things I had the pleasure of doing the past 2 weeks. I attended the what's referred to as the seniors concert for the OHS bands. That's the 3 bands who do that concert. They also award a variety of band scholarships, and it is their tradition to finish that concert with all 3 bands taking the stage together and playing You Never Walk Alone, which is a really cool tradition that they have. I always really enjoy it. They move seniors forward, put the spotlight on them. There's portions only the seniors play, and then they darken the seniors and light up everybody else, and they play. It's a really neat thing. I would encourage anyone to go to that next year if they have the opportunity. It's a great thing that we do in our district. Also, congratulations to the students who won various scholarships and awards through the music program. I know they were all very devoted to their music education at Oswego High School, and they've made us all proud. I was at the OHS Top 100. And congratulations to that as well, to all the students who were included. What I found most interesting was they had in the program a star next to each person's name for every they'd already been on it. And I was very impressed that somebody in the senior class got it for the first year as a senior. That is no easy feat to come in as a senior into top 25, because it means you had to knock someone out who's been there for probably 3 years. So congratulations. It was also exciting to see in some of the other classes a bunch of new kids who were able to get themselves in. So congratulations to them and their families. It takes a lot of hard work to get themselves there, and it's a really great thing that Rotary does to acknowledge that. And then lastly, they passed out cords to all the seniors who've been top 25 for all 4 years to wear at graduation. So if you're ever watching the graduation ceremony and wondering what all those cords are for, that's one of the cords that people wear, is that they were top 25 for all 4 years of high school.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. Any other board members?
Yeah, I just had the honor to go to see the unified basketball game last week against Phoenix. We didn't win, but everybody was a winner just to be there. It was just a great feeling to watch all those kids out there and to watch them have that much joy and everybody to participate. It was wonderful. So if you haven't been, please take the opportunity to go.
Thank you, Tom.
I should have mentioned, Tom gave a fantastic speech, the top 100. He talked about people who have grit. And it was very motivational, based upon a book he's been reading. So if you have the opportunity to follow Tom around and hear his speeches, I recommend it.
I think.
Any other board members with items this evening? Okay, there is need for an executive for the purposes of medical, financial credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation. So if I can have a motion to move to executive, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, David. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Have a good evening, everybody.